Something massive just happened behind closed doors, and most people still have no idea. Russia quietly approved a weapons deal worth $500 million to send Iran 2,500 missiles that American aircraft may struggle to stop. This isn't speculation, and it's not a rumor circulating in intelligence circles. It's a documented transaction revealed through leaked Russian procurement files that could reshape the balance of air power. Now pause for a moment and let that sink in. The United States and Iran are already 10 days into an active shooting war that began with Operation Epic Fury on February 28, 2026. While this conflict continues to unfold, the weapon that could influence the next phase hasn't even arrived yet. And yet military planners in Washington are already worried about what comes next. The Pentagon is burning through missile interceptors faster than many experts predicted. Major outlets like Bloomberg, The Atlantic, and The Wall Street Journal are all repeating the same concerning word: shortage. In just the first 5 days of fighting, the United States spent more than $2.4 billion on Patriot interceptor missiles alone. And the weapon Russia just sold Iran could make the next stage of this conflict fundamentally different. This isn't just a small upgrade to an existing weapon system. It represents a serious challenge to the air advantage the United States has relied on for nearly 30 years. For decades, American air power has dominated modern battlefields from the sky. Now, a portable missile system could start chipping away at that dominance. The weapon at the center of this story is called the 9K333 Verba. Despite what some analysts are suggesting, this story is about much more than Iran alone. Because once these systems begin spreading beyond Iran's borders, their impact could reach every conflict zone in the region. To understand why, we need to look closely at what this missile actually is. Most headlines describe this deal as a shipment of shoulder-fired missiles, thousands of portable air defense systems that soldiers can carry into battle. At first glance, that might sound like old technology that has existed for decades, but that assumption is dangerously misleading. The Verba system is not a copy of the American Stinger missile. It is not simply a Cold War weapon upgraded with new electronics. Instead, it represents a fourth-generation portable air defense system built with entirely new tracking technology. And right now, no other system in the world uses the same architecture at this scale. Russia agreed to deliver around 500 launch units and 2,500 missiles to Iran between 2027 and 2029. That might sound like a normal defensive purchase for a country strengthening its air defenses, but the numbers suggest something much larger than that. This looks less like a defensive upgrade and more like a portable anti-aircraft network. Once these missiles exist in large numbers, they can be moved almost anywhere. They can be transported in trucks, stored in shipping containers, and quietly delivered across borders. And that means they could appear in almost any conflict where Iran has influence. That possibility is what makes military planners nervous. To understand the real danger, we need to simplify the technology behind it. Older portable missile systems use a single infrared sensor to track heat from an aircraft engine. If a pilot releases flares, the missile often gets confused and follows the flare instead. That trick has saved countless aircraft over the past several decades. American helicopters and attack aircraft rely heavily on those flare systems. They are often the final layer of protection for pilots flying close to the ground. When a missile launch is detected, pilots deploy bright burning flares to distract the seeker. Until now, that defense has worked reasonably well. The Verba missile changes that equation entirely. Instead of tracking heat in just one way, it uses 3 different detection channels at the same time. Those channels include ultraviolet, near-infrared, and mid-infrared tracking systems. Together, they create something known as a tri-spectral seeker. That seeker compares the signature of a real aircraft engine across all 3 spectrums. When a flare appears, it only burns strongly in one part of the spectrum. The missile's computer can immediately recognize the difference between the flare and the engine exhaust. In simple terms, the system was designed to ignore the traditional countermeasure. Russian testing claims the Verba is 10 times more resistant to jamming than earlier Igla missiles. 10 times is not a small improvement in military technology. It means the defensive tricks pilots rely on may not work anymore, and that creates a new level of risk for aircraft flying at low altitude. Now, let's talk about the numbers that reveal the bigger problem. The Verba missile travels at nearly Mach 1.75 and can strike targets more than 6 kilometers away. It can reach aircraft flying up to about 4.5 kilometers above the ground. That altitude range covers nearly every helicopter in the U.S. military. Apache helicopters, Blackhawks, and Chinooks all operate within that envelope. Even certain fixed-wing aircraft providing close air support could fall inside its reach. Aircraft like the A-10 or AC-130 often operate relatively low during combat missions, and those aircraft rely heavily on flares for protection. Now consider the financial comparison. An F-18 Super Hornet fighter jet costs roughly $67 million. A portable Verba missile may cost only a fraction of that amount. That difference creates an enormous imbalance in the economics of warfare. In modern warfare, cheaper weapons can threaten extremely expensive platforms. And when that happens at scale, it becomes more than just a tactical problem. It becomes an economic challenge that can reshape military strategy. And that is exactly what analysts are beginning to worry about. Iran isn't buying these missiles simply to defend its own territory. Iran is buying them to distribute across its network of regional allies and proxy forces. Groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon already receive advanced weapons through Iranian supply routes. The same is true for militia groups in Iraq, Syria, and Yemen. The Verba system is perfect for that type of distribution. The launcher weighs about 17 kilograms and can easily fit into a vehicle. It requires relatively little training compared to complex air defense systems, and once deployed, it can threaten aircraft across wide areas. This means the missile could appear almost anywhere Iran has influence. One day it could surface in Lebanon near the Israeli border, another day it could appear in Yemen or Iraq. That unpredictability is what makes it strategically powerful. The deal itself was never publicly announced. It became known only after Russian government procurement documents were leaked earlier this year. The Financial Times reported on the documents in February 2026. Neither Moscow nor Tehran officially denied the report. The United States government responded with almost complete silence. That silence may suggest intelligence agencies already knew about the deal, or it may simply reflect uncertainty about how to respond publicly. Either way, the delivery schedule raises serious questions. The missiles are expected to arrive between 2027 and 2029. That timeline suggests Russia is thinking far beyond the current conflict. Even if the present war ends soon, Iran would still receive a significant weapons upgrade later, and that could shape the next regional conflict. This deal also reflects a much larger trend developing globally. Since 2022, Russia and Iran have built a much closer military partnership. Iran supplied Russia with drone technology used heavily in the war in Ukraine. Those drones quickly became a major part of Russia's battlefield strategy. In return, Russia began sharing advanced military technology with Iran. This includes electronics, guidance systems, and potentially new air defense capabilities. The relationship has evolved beyond simple arms sales. It now looks more like joint weapons development. That means both countries are learning from ongoing conflicts. Ukraine and the Middle East are effectively becoming real-world testing environments. Every success and every failure becomes data for the next generation of weapons, and that cycle accelerates military innovation. Ironically, the United States helped demonstrate this strategy decades ago. In the 1980s, the CIA supplied Stinger missiles to Afghan fighters battling Soviet forces. Those missiles began destroying Soviet helicopters flying close support missions. Within months, the Soviets lost their advantage in low-altitude air operations. That moment proved something important. A simple shoulder-fired missile in the right hands can neutralize powerful air forces. Now that same lesson is being applied in reverse, and the implications could shape future conflicts. The biggest question isn't whether the Verba will change the current war. By the time official deliveries arrive, this conflict may already be over. The real question is what happens in the next conflict 5 years from now, because by then thousands of these missiles could be scattered across the region. And once they are distributed, they will not disappear easily. They will remain in hidden depots, warehouses, and mobile launch teams. Every aircraft flying low over a battlefield would face a new threat, and military planners know it. For decades, American air power relied on dominating the skies. But the Verba does not challenge aircraft flying high above the battlefield. It challenges the aircraft operating close to the ground, and those aircraft are essential for modern warfare. If this story surprised you, you are not alone. Most people still haven't heard about this weapons deal or its implications. The next few years may reveal just how important it becomes, and that is why this development matters. If you want more deep dive breakdowns of global military strategy like this, make sure to subscribe. Leave a comment and tell me what you think about this Russia-Iran partnership. And if you found this explanation useful, hit the like button so more people can see it, because understanding these developments might matter more than we realize.